Hey guys, we're back for round 2 of What I Wish I Knew Before Starting Breastfeeding. Hello, it's Leah and you're watching Mommy in the Moment. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. If you have watched some videos before, welcome back. And if you have seen our part 1 of the breastfeeding series, then you're definitely going to enjoy part 2. There's some heavy hitting things in this video and I'm excited about it. Watch to the very end to hear what almost every person responded in the survey and what is one of my personal mantras about breastfeeding. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. You can follow me over at Mommy in the Moment on Instagram to get more content about breastfeeding, motherhood, pregnancy, and living your best life in general. All right, so let's dive in. One thing I wish I knew before I started breastfeeding was to not compare myself to others, okay? Everybody has a different breastfeeding journey. Everybody has different biology. Everybody has different physiology. We have different pregnancy complications, medical issues. All of these things play into how you breastfeed and how well you're able to breastfeed. Looking at someone else's milk supply, looking at how much they pump when they're at work, how many bags of milk they have in their freezer. Yeah, you get breastfeeding stash envy. That's a thing. I don't think it's a thing, but I'm gonna coin that phrase, stash envy. I think that one's mine now. And all of these things can make us feel bad about ourselves if we're not meeting some standard, some arbitrary standard that we've made for ourselves. So comparing yourself to other people, comparison is the thief of joy. Just don't do it. Try your best, walk your path, and do the best that you can. The other thing that we can't always compare is one child to another. Just because I had a hard time with my first, it doesn't mean that my second will be difficult. Just because we had a great run with my first doesn't mean that I won't have challenges with my second. So one thing that I heard multiple times in the commentary was not every kid is the same. So you can't even compare one breastfeeding experience with another within the same family. So no comparison, just don't do it. It's not worth it. Sacrificing your sanity in order to breastfeed, I don't recommend this, okay? There are so many external expectations placed on us, and breastfeeding is hard enough in and of itself. But if you have a baby that is cluster feeding or has coordination issues, tongue, lip tie, things like that, and breastfeeding is painful, maybe if you can't get it to resolve itself, think about pumping and give the baby the milk that way. That's still, baby's getting all those nutrients, all the great effects of breast milk, even though you're not latching. If your baby is cluster feeding overnight and just won't stop, and this is weeks and weeks on end, and you need help, you need somebody else to be able to feed the baby, do that. Pump, supplement with formula, do what you have to do so that you can get sleep. I think we as mothers, we torture ourselves and we put ourselves in a state of stress and despair because we're trying to meet some goal that either we have made for ourselves or someone else has placed on us. Your sanity is not worth it. Your baby needs you to be healthy and whole, and if you can't do that and breastfeed, figure out another way. Your baby just needs to eat, okay? Breastfeeding is amazing, it's fantastic, but it's not worth your sanity. I remember there was a time when I would dread feeding Lucas because it hurt, his latch wasn't good, I hadn't figured that out yet, and I almost stopped at that point because it was affecting my relationship with him. I was resenting him instead of loving the bond that we were building. And I was like, this doesn't feel right. I shouldn't resent my newborn baby. And if the breastfeeding is what's causing it, figure out a way around it. There's a lot of different ways to feed the baby, and every one of them is a good way. All right, there is help available. I think that sometimes we think, oh, breastfeeding is natural. I should just be able to do it. The baby comes out and you just pop them on and that's all that needs to happen. Not the case. When I have my patients kind of in the third trimester, if they ask, if I had to choose between a breastfeeding class and a birthing class, I would choose the breastfeeding class hands down every time. Birth, your body just takes over and it's usually will just do what it's gonna do. Maybe you go into natural labor, maybe you have an induction, maybe you have a C-section. However the baby comes out safely, that's fine. But then you have this breastfeeding, your milk comes in and you're trying to get the baby to latch and you don't know what's good and what's bad and how to hold the baby and all these things. There are breastfeeding classes. Our hospital system offers breastfeeding classes. Our hospital offers lactation consultants for one-on-one in-person consultation in the hospital before going home. And that's just part of your hospital stay. And then once our patients are discharged, they can call our lactation consultants and say, hey, I delivered at this hospital, I need some help, and they can get continued counseling and assistance. So find out what resources are available to you and utilize them. Now, it may not be a formal class or consultant. It may be a Facebook group or a group of moms that share information with each other. It may be that you have a friend who has gone through breastfeeding or family members who have gone through breastfeeding that are able to give you really good advice. Tap into those resources, and I recommend doing this before you deliver because you're gonna wanna have this information at 2 o'clock in the morning when it hits the fan. When it really gets hard, you're gonna wanna have this info at your fingertips. So engage your resources and do it before you deliver so that you're really prepared. Oh, this is a big one. We wish we knew that people would have so many opinions about our breastfeeding. Whew, I feel that in my soul. For some reason, people think they can have very strong opinions about what women do with their bodies. Not sure why that is, but expect people to have strong opinions, either pro-breastfeeding or anti-breastfeeding. And there's a lot of different reasons why people have these opinions. A lot of people, especially Black people in older generations, during that time, formula companies were coming out and saying formula is the best way to feed your baby. It's more nutritious than breast milk, but more importantly, it was more expensive than breast milk. And so the only people who breastfed were people who were too poor to buy formula. And so that was ingrained in that generation that, oh, breastfeeding is for poor people, it's subpar. In order to give your baby the best, you need to supplement with formula. And so now you may get auntie or grandma or someone saying, you need to supplement the baby with formula, supplement. They think they're doing something good, but they got misinformation during their education about breastfeeding. So it's really important to know what you're gonna do, stick with it, make your decision with whoever is your support system, your spouse, your partner, your family, whoever is walking this road with you, make a decision about what you're gonna do. Exclusively breastfeeding, pumping and bottle feeding, a combination of breast and formula, just formula, whatever it is, make that decision and stick to it. When people offer their opinions, say thank you for that, we have our plan, and move on. It's not worth feeling bad and feeling stressed out because everybody is entering what they have to say. Just do you boo. Okay? Don't worry about what other people have to say. The other thing that I think makes people offer their opinions is, or judge your decisions, is that they feel that you making a different decision than they made is a way of you judging what they did. Did you get that? I'm gonna say it again for the people in the back. You making a different decision than they made, they feel judged by you about what they did. And so you can always just say, you know what, this is just my decision. There's no judgment, no judgment on you. This is what I've decided to do. But sometimes understanding where people are coming from makes it easier for you to go on with what have already decided. All right, guys, and this is the last one. This is the biggest one. This is what almost every single person that responded to my Facebook and Instagram polls said. I wish I knew that just because breastfeeding is natural doesn't mean it's easy. Whew, yeah. Just because it's natural does not mean it's easy. And I think that's one of the things that really throws people for a loop, is that I feel like, oh my goodness, this would be so easy because the baby comes out, the milk comes in, and why is this a challenge? But I tell people and if you've ever been in my clinic office, I tell people breastfeeding is the hardest natural thing you'll ever do. It's just difficult. It's just not easy. And so just know that it's not an easy thing to do, that it's a challenge, but once you get it, you can feel like a boss, like you've overcome, like you have defeated, you're victorious, and that you can move into this amazing feeding, bonding relationship with your baby. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I thoroughly enjoyed making it. Thank you again for everybody who contributed. If you think it will be helpful for someone that's about to go through breastfeeding, that is currently breastfeeding, that's currently pregnant, share this with them. Let them know, let them see kind of what our pooled experience has been, because guys, we're not alone. We're not alone in this. All of these things can feel so isolating, but I'm telling you, almost every person was saying very similar things. We just don't talk about it, and so we feel like we're by ourselves. So thanks again for watching. If you have any questions, definitely comment below. Subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so that you can see when I'm posting new videos. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.